Long time no see. Welcome to another edition of What's Going On with Max. I've taken the truck on a maiden voyage since the transmission's been done. It was a little sticky still in first gear. I'm thinking it's just got to work its way in. But it drove an hour to work, hour back, no issues. Still sounds like an old bus like it always has been. But the rebuild was good. So now what I'm doing is building my DVR system. When I say building, I'm taking household stuff and putting it into a car because I don't like any of the ones I've seen on the market. The one I had in here was a cheap Chinesium one. It was a stripped down one of a higher model. It had GPS, Wi-Fi, the whole shebang, and even the Chinesium stripped down version of the highest one that you'd get for $2,000-3,000. I still don't like it. The cameras that you can use, they're like 480p or whatever the hell their resolution is, but they're grainy. The resolution's not all that great at night. So I opted to build my own. So I've got an 8-channel household NVR DVR hybrid thing, so I can do IP cameras if I want, but I can only do 2 channels. 8 channels of just normal BNC style cameras, but I've got RCA cables throughout the truck already, so I'm converting the RCA to BNC stuff, which is no big deal. It's like $10 for these little connectors, so it goes from BNC to RCA. So I got a 10-pack of these for like $5-6 off of Amazon. Then I got cameras like this. They have so there's a little cover that's supposed to be on this, and I don't know where it went, but these are $29. They do 1080p by changing little dip switches. So you've got 4 different cameras in here. Come on, fingers, work with me and against me. So you just use the dip switches, and you got 4 different camera resolutions. Yeah. So 2 are in black and white at 9, or one's at 1080n in black and white. Another one's at 960n, I think, or it's 960h in black and white. Then there's 1080p in color, and then there's I can't remember what the other one was, but it's like 1080n in color. The one that I've got picked out as it comes up as, what is it? CVBS, which is 1080p in color. Then you've got the HD, HDTVI, and AHD, and I think that one's the black and white one. But anyway, I've got these cameras, but the sensor stuff is only as big as this black line. Everything else in here is empty. So I've shortened them quite substantially. So there's still a little bit of space in there just for the cable. So this one's going on my back of my truck. So where that one's sitting, this one will now sit facing backwards. So like I said, all I have to do is just change the BNC to what I want, and we're good to go. So that's basically what they are on the jungle site. So that's all I use. So they come in the box. Nothing fancy. That's literally all you get in the box, is that. So for $29, it's a whole lot better than this fucking thing. But this came off a GM, and it is the most shitty fucking backup camera I've seen come off of a tailgate. Well, this is a GM one. I have a Dodge one that was even worse. So yeah, so I was trying to get those ones to work. So here's my DVR. It's again been modified. The thing used to take like that much space. It was 9 or 10 inches long, and has the ability for a SATA hard drive inside of it. So I got a SATA 128 gig SSD in here. I got BNCs to change over to my RCAs. I got an HDMI and USB, and right now I'm using this little mouse to run it. And then I've got audio in as well. So that all goes up to this mess of stuff where I'm changing one cable for my accessories into 4 to run cameras up to the top, where I also have my camper coming in on the Wi-Fi. There's a Wi-Fi signal. Where is it? Right there. So my camper comes in on this one, which has another version to this. It's all IP camera style. It comes in on, well, in the camper, it goes from a box similar to this, but this one's got HDMI and VGA. So the one in the camper, I think, has got the same thing. It's converted from VGA to RCA, then shot over I think a 2.5 or 2.4 gigahertz antenna, which sits in that corner of my truck, and the antenna sits more or less on the other side of that in the camper. Comes through that, comes into here, shoots down that pillar, comes down to here, and then it displays on that screen, which I've now updated from the last screen. This one's a VGA, RCA, and HDMI input style. And then when I turn the key on, that turns on, fires this up. This only takes a minute or so to boot up, and it's good to go. And to answer anybody's question, how do I run it? Oh, Christ. Well, anyway, I have one of these sitting in below the floor. It's called a power tamer. With these dip switches, you can get, I think, up to like 2 days worth of time put onto it. Every one of these switches adds up time. So if you have 15 and that's 45 minutes, and then keep on going, that's all fine and dandy. But there's 6 switches here. So if you turn switch 6 on, these double. So you have 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, so on. So in any combination, you can get, I think, just about 2 days worth out of this. So I have that set up at 30 minutes right now is this, and it turns off with the key. So yeah, when I turn the key off, it still runs for 30 minutes after the fact, and I've got it on 10-minute segments of video. So I should be okay there. And like I said, it takes about a minute to boot up. And it's kind of a Linux, embedded Linux fucking thingy on it. And it's got network on the back of it. I did have cameras. I did have this set up before. And I'm swaying away from it now because because like I said, it only does 2 channels. But I printed all this out. So I had this. I had that stuffed in there. I had the board, and I had all the same thing you see on that one in here. So that was actually version 2. This was version 3. And then I had these cameras, which are, I have to say, one of the better cameras I've seen on the Amazon site. You get them for $50, sometimes a little more. I've paid $75 for them, and I've paid as low as $30 for them. They are called Zoom, or VZoom, VEZOOM, and they're a 5 megapixel camera. They have a white light on the bottom, or no, white light on the top, IR on the bottom, and the IR cut. They're a 2.8 millimeter lens, and they are damn nice for an IP camera, provided I can get the damn cable off. And they are PoE powered as well. I have plenty of these powering my security system in my house. I have 18 of these buggers. I am putting them on my camper as well. So I've got one there, I've got one there, and I've got one right there, looking right back at me. So I have 18 of them. So they are a damn nice camera. So that's what I've been doing for the last little while, is trying to get this kind of situated. I've been in and out of this truck quite a few times, hashing out certain ideas and whatnot, and this is the one I'm going to go with. I haven't updated in a while because I've either had to catch up on work, just didn't feel like it. Like there was one weekend I came out here after doing a Saturday at work. I came out the Sunday and I felt like roadkill afterwards, and I just didn't feel like doing anything, and I didn't get anything accomplished. My head was on it. And then there's other weekends where I just didn't come out because it was either too cold and I can't do certain things. Oh, and the update on the exhaust, I broke that. So, let me bring it on here. So, these are the motors I put into my valves for my exhaust. Where is my exhaust gone to? So, my splitter. And this is basically what I'm going to do now. Is I've cut it open. What happened is I drove home on the maiden voyage of this thing, was farting around with this. So I got it to work. These things run at 12 RPM and run at 12 volt, and they can switch either direction. I didn't realize the torque on these buggers. So when they torqued up to close the door on that to quiet it down, and it works damn nice, I hear this god-awful snap, and you can hear the ping as all the parts and pieces fell inside. You can see it just sheared it right off. So the gear fell off inside of that. I had to cut it open to get it out. So here's the rest of the gear. So I don't know if I just heated it up too much and it just went brittle. I don't know, probably. But anyway, it snapped off because it has uber amount of torque. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remote the damn things. This is not the one I'm going to use, but it's a linear actuator, and that's the concept I'm going with. So I'm going to put those on the side of the frame, and I'm going to run it from here, you bugger, remotely with this. It is the same cable, the same cable I'm running my four-wheel drive with. It comes off of a Razor. Yes, a side-by-side. Right, I'll show you what this one. Again, Jungle Fight, I got this from. That's basically what I'm using. It is, I think they're just over 4 feet of cable. And this is their shifter cable for a Razor. I don't know what model, don't know what year. All I know is it says Razor shifter cable. And that's all I look up is shifter cable. And it comes up. That's what I'm using for switch this. It's the same concept. It goes into the floor, goes through the floor, comes back around to the side of the transmission. And it works damn nice for that. The actuators I've got, these ones, were too long for the throw of that. I need, this one's 15 millimeter. I need somewhere in the neighborhood of like 31, 32 millimeters to open and close that valve. Well, actually, the valve I don't know, but the cable length on that is 30 millimeters, and I want to use every ounce of it and not have this bind up. So I've got 4 more of these on order. They may be here whenever, but these things work like a hot damn. This one's got 50 newtons, which is like 14 pounds of push, and they use every ounce of push they can to push my finger when holding it like that to push it up, and doesn't struggle. That valve doesn't need 14 pounds to move. So like I said, it doesn't need 14 pounds to move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld a bolt to that, and then I'm going to use that cable. I'm going to go from wherever it is here on the exhaust, wrap it around to the frame, loop it back on itself, and then come to the exhaust. Whether it melts, I don't know. We'll see. But plan B, I have. So these will go in its place if it fails miserably on a trip. So these are the cap-offs for the exhaust pipe, which I'm going to have to use the next little while because I got to go get the camper. When the ground is good enough to get onto at my aunt's place, I have those to put onto the truck so I can go out, get it, bring it back so I can work on that before I go camping again this season. And this thing's laid up this weekend, so I can't do it, and I don't have any money to put plates on this thing yet, so I'll gotta wait until next week to do it anyway. So might as well do the DVR and put the exhaust parts in. So that's what I'm doing right now. Other than that, not much has happened to the beast. Like I said, the transmission works damn flawlessly. It's a little sketchy getting into first gear, but I'm sure it will work its way in and everything else. It's got many, many, many years and many, many miles underneath it. And this is the first time that I think a human's been inside of it and touched it because of the amount of shit that I pulled out of it. And for future, I think I'm going to paint from here down to at least that door, or that part of the door, blue, and then redo my hood. That's for a future project. On this truck, this particular year, 2004, I don't know what year they switched over, I think it was about 99, 2000, the PCV valve on these things change. So I had to go down to the junkyard and pick up a new valve cover. GM in their infinite wisdom put the PCV valve thing inside the valve cover. Now, I've been blowing oil out of my dipstick tube, I'm sure of it, for quite some time now. It pressurizes up when it's under load and then just starts soaking the undercarriage of this truck profusely after that, and it just burns on the exhaust and it stinks. So my theory is the valve is fucked and it's plugged and everything else, and then I try to go replace it and can't because GM, you suck, because now you have to change the whole fucking valve cover, which is absolutely fucking retarded. But if you go to a 99 or previous, the engines are the same. So I got the valve cover off of 5.3. This is a 6 liter, same fucking block, or same heads, I should say, and put it onto this one. So now I have that replaceable part. And lucky for me, the part that I got already had been replaced. Well, kind of. It works anyway. It clacks. The one I've got doesn't. So I put it on there. Hopefully this will solve my blowing oil issue. But GM, for fuck's sakes, why? Why do that? Why do I have to buy a whole fucking valve cover for one fucking part that costs, what, $5? And you tell me that I have to replace the whole fucking valve cover for 150 some fucking dollars, and that's Rock Auto price? Like, give your fucking head a shake. Why couldn't you have left well enough alone? Just leave the fucking thing so we can fucking fix it. So I got a workaround for you, fuckers. The other thing that I wanted to do was do the cable drive versus wire, fly-by-wire. I've stopped trying to think about that for now. I went down to the junkyard and looked at one that had cable to it versus fly-by-wire, and then I had a stupid thought and realized I would lose my cruise control. So I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'll deal with that later on. I might still do it and then just put an aftermarket cruise control system in there, and the computer will just sit there and do nothing. I'll see about that. I'll have to rewire the cruise control switch on the steering column to run with the aftermarket one that will pull on the cable. I'm not going to deal with the whole Chevy one and figure out what they're doing to get the thing to pull. I'm just going to get another computer to do it and just use it as a standalone. But I'm not doing that right now. I don't need it for what I'm about to do. So that's a later project that I want to try. I've seen one other person on the internet do it. apparently it's only like 5 or 6 wires, and you can plug it into your computer, and it should still do it. I don't know what else is involved in it, so I'd like to try it and see what happens and tell you guys what I find out. But that's a later thing. The next thing for that problem of getting up the highway and this thing falling flat in its face, because it seems to be very underpowered, and it's only got 9,000 pounds behind it. It should still pull pretty good, and it doesn't. It gets up to like 90, 80, or 80, 90K with a load onto it, and then it just falls flat in its face. It doesn't seem to pull very much after that, and I got half throttle. It's very weak, but on its own, it'll get up to 140, no problem. I'm thinking also gearing is a problem in this thing. It's got 410s in it. I'm going to drop down to 373s. That's what my old truck had with this particular transmission in it. That's what it had in it, and it did fine. But I also didn't have 17-inch rims with 33-inch tires on it at the same time. I had 15-inch tires with 235s on it. This one's got the equivalent of a 33-inch tire and 17-inch rims, which also does not help it. So I figure if I go down in gear, I should be able to get better pull and maybe have that last gear to myself. But other than that, that's what my plans are for the next little while. I'll bring you along when I can. I'll check you later when I just get there. See ya.